Right, here's where I want to start. Let's do the Na'Vi side of the equation, and then we'll go into the details of Vitality, because essentially we were just broadly addressing where Vitality's at in the space. So, Wolfie, as addressed earlier, one of the problems when you're talking about Na'Vi, and I almost struggle to find teams I can think of in history who would even fit this bill. Maybe Team Liquid 2019, but the fact that so many players just frag out seemingly all the time on Na'Vi actually makes it harder to analyse the game, because you don't always know, is that a good tactic? Was that a good call? Is this mapping? You don't really know any of these factors. Sometimes for real, that you just watch someone's POV and they're in a bad spot, but they get 2 kills and they win the round. They're on a map they're not supposed to win. They win it anyway, right? Where are you sat on this angle? Like at the moment, right? The problem with I think a lot of analysis desks about Na'Vi is because the idea the whole team has all this fragging power. Normally that doesn't last. That's like a tournament. You have that, and then one guy goes down. Well, I can tell you right now, if everyone remembers those crazy stats at the major where like 3 Na'Vi players were in the top 4 of the entire fucking event, or top 5 or something ridiculous. It's similar here. Like, yeah, obviously Ziwu's the highest rated player, like you said, but then Bit is the 2nd highest rated, Simple is the 3rd highest rated, and Electronic is the 7th highest rated. Oh, and by the way, Boomich is like 10th or 11th or so. Like, they're doing it again. Like, if they're going to do this, Wolfie, they might just be unbeatable, right? If they have this kind of firepower.
It's just ridiculous at this point. Like, watching Bit play, I don't know where Na'Vi found him, and I don't know how they made him as good as they did, because when he first came into the team, you watched it and you went, is that really the call? Flamey's gone, I don't like it. And now he looks like the star rifler of the entire team. He's almost displaced Electronic, in my opinion, because he's just so ridiculously talented in the aim. And you're right, it's bailing them out a lot of the time. And one of the things that I sort of wanted to get into is I don't think their T-side calling is that great. I've sort of been on a couple of desks with Hawker. He really hates it. He really hates Boomich's T-side calling. And you sort of see it. I mean, we saw it at IEM Fall on Nuke. You saw it against Heroic on Mirage. When they're under pressure, when all of the pieces are moving simultaneously, Boomich seems to get a little lost. He seems to just lose where everyone is in the server, and he gets pulled back and forth. The one round that really showed it on Mirage with Heroic was like they had 3 people into an A setup, 2 over on B, pulling the fake. They got a kill on B, then he tries to rotate the bomb, realizes he's not got enough time, has to go back again, has burnt 15 seconds doing it. And he's getting bailed out almost by the fact that he does have such ridiculously talented players that even when that call is, literally incorrect, looking at it, you've split it completely, you've got no time to regroup and hit the A site, you've still got Simple and Electronic entering into A, getting kills. You've still got Bit, who quite frankly you can send out onto a site on his own at the moment, and he's going to get a kill or 2. He's going to pull a rotate. He's going to buy you time to breathe. And if they didn't have that firepower, if they honestly didn't have Bit performing at this level, I don't think Na'Vi would be as great as they are right now. And I think probably they lose that series to Heroic. The amount of times that they do just get bailed out by the fact that Simple has a pop-off round, Bit gets 2 entries, Electronic comes out of nowhere and has a blinder, and then even Boomich is stepping up in this particular event as well. It's just mad, and their firepower, it really does bail them out.
Where you at on it, Yumi?
Yeah, it's one of those spots where it's strange, because I actually think Vitality in a vacuum should actually be working quite well in scenarios like that. You're looking at sort of like Pugstar players. You're bringing Kyojin. He's supposed to be like a headshot machine to some degree, but that same level of caliber just isn't there. And the sort of, I guess, Plan Z execution, if we're talking about that for Na'Vi, is just that much better. The craziest part is that I'm actually in agreement with you. I think honestly it's kind of hard to gauge, in a weird sense, any of the teams in the top 30, how good their T-sides are, because I think everyone's having a tough time dealing with this new CT-sided meta, whether it's the A1S, the grenade changes. It places more importance on like pistol rounds as well, to just actually get your foot in the door. And I think even like Apex in an interview was talking about like how they were like one of the crucial ways that they lost Mirage earlier on against trying to think.
Astralis, maybe? Who would it be?
Yeah,
no, it couldn't be Astralis. It couldn't be Astralis. Must be Liquid, I assume. I would maybe assume Liquid.
But it was a post-game interview on Mirage where it's like, oh, they just rushed B, and that actually like eliminates some of the tools that are available to a CT side to get some of those win rate conversions. So it's a weird spot, but I think if you have players like Bit, who has like the craziest opening kill statistics in the past month, I think it's like 84% success rate on CT sides. Like if you can have great CT side starts with players like Simple, of course, doing what he does the best, like it's always going to be hard to crack in and actually show what your T side is made of, or even flex what your T side calling is all about, because all the players are popping off.
Yeah, I agree, by the way. Normally, when I'm on desks, I'm almost like slightly unpopular for that opinion. That I even phrase it like this: I don't really know if Boomich is the real IGL in the sense that you typically think of. Because let's be real, we're not talking about just like, it's a top 30 team and, who does what, and it's a new star. Like, for example, when they were like Art in Furia, when they first came along, they were trying some weird gimmicky angle, right? It's one thing then if it's like, oh, here's an IGL, but he has a different vision on the game or some garbage. Kind of like what they claim Hampus does in NiP now. The problem here is you are the clear #1 team in the world. You are the major winners, and people are basically talking about, is this going to be your era? So we can't judge you of like you technically do the IGL role. We're trying to basically figure out how much of it is Boomich, how much of their success is coming from him. And the problem is, Wolfie, I kind of agree, mate. Like, I feel like essentially it's like this is where a lot of the jokes came from, actually, about people like the famous like Nico, Go Kill and all that. The where those jokes come from is if the strat in some way does involve Nico being the person to take an entry duel at like Connector on fucking Mirage, yeah, the joke there is like you've just made that exact same strat becomes like, let's say 50% better if indeed it is Nico who takes that duel versus like if Alexi B has to take it himself in OG. Like, you can see why the same strat suddenly looks way more genius and more effective when it's Nico who does the opening kills. But the joke is, in NaVi, I have to sort of do that to all aspects of the game when I look at Boomich. Like, first of all, you have arguably the best closer ever in Counter-Strike in Simple. Like, you do notice, by the way, in a meta where everyone saves all the time, when in your brain does Simple ever save? He doesn't, because the joke is he just wins the 1v3s, doesn't he? He just goes in there and he does that thing you're supposed to do where you're supposed to try and get the first kill and go, if I get this, it's on. Well, spoiler, he just always gets the first kill with some like outrageous no-scope and then the round's on, innit? So the joke is you've already got the best closer as an insurance policy no matter what you do at the beginning of the round. You've got Electronic, who also might just instantly get you a free AK 1 million miles away instant headshot with a one tap for no reason on T side. By the way, spoiler, other IGLs don't have that luxury. And then as you point out, you've also got Bit, who isn't even supposed to be in this equation, who's getting some of the best stats in the entire world and seems somehow to have like mastered whatever his role within NaVi is. Because the craziest thing is, if you notice, like I have heard on CT side, I think it was even said in interviews that like Electronic and Simple sort of advise him of like when to pull back and stuff. But Yanko made this point to me. I don't know if he said it on the desk though. He was saying this to me at the major. If you ever just watch him play though, the idea he is a pure rookie to tier 1, his game sense looks way too good. Like, dude, he's nearly like his timing for when to take his fights and when to suddenly get like a crazy 2K. It's ridiculous. Like, you would think he was a veteran. So I agree. I think there's just too many factors here for me to go like, yeah, Boomich, you're killing the game mix. It's like you're just working with the greatest arsenal maybe ever in CSGO. It's too crazy. Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.